So welcome everyone. Welcome to this moon ceremony. Um, we're not quite to Imbolc, but we're in the Imbolc season, and so this is the ceremony for the quarterly new moon, and February 5th, I think it is. I will do the full moon ceremony online as well. So welcome to all of you, and I wanted to, it's 3 o'clock here on the East Coast. The new moon hits exact new moon at 3:55. So probably about the time we're finishing up ceremony, we will be at the moment of new moon. The moon rose this morning. Rather than a nighttime moon, we're in a daytime moon. It rose this morning at 7:48 and will set this afternoon at 5:36. So it's an exciting time. And then the February 5th ceremony will be the full moon, will be in the sign of Leo, again with the Celtic ceremony for Imbolc, and we will welcome and honor the sun and Bridget and the lighting of the sacred fire on February 5th. So today, if you saw the email, things I suggest that you have with you, if you like, is a container of water that you can kind of put your fingers in. I have a little dish here that I'll use, and a feather or something that represents the air, even if it's your hand, but something, because we'll want to blow through the air in a little bit. And then I've been burning incense for, I don't know, half an hour or so. So if you have sage or any sort of smudging material or just incense that you'd like to burn, that or a candle or a candle to represent the fire element, and then anything that connects you to the earth, a plant, a rock, the chair you're sitting on, if it's made of something of the earth, and then thinking about what I hope you have been thinking about what you might need to release, what you might need to leave behind as we go into this new opening. So, you can bring a journal and take notes if you like or not, but we're going into a clearing and an awakening and a new day. So, and let me say that when I sent the email out, I was so focused on this water ceremony that I want to do with us. I called Aquarius a water sign, which is not correct. It's an air sign, but Aquarius is the water bearer. It's, and I'll show you a picture in a few minutes. It's the picture of a man carrying the water. And I'll talk about the symbology of that. So I just wanted to say that was incorrect. But before we go any further, what I'd like to do is call the directions. Let me see if I can, okay, spotlight just for the recording. And if you know the directions in your home, you can turn those directions or stand or sit or just watch the screen, whichever you prefer. But I will start in the center, calling in the divine light, saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for being with us as we journey through this ceremony this afternoon, the ceremony honoring the moon. And I turn to the east. And in the east, the direction of illumination, I call to the Celtic goddess Anya, who is a goddess of the sun and the moon. I ask her to be with us today. And from the Egyptian line, Nut, who gives birth to the sun every morning, to journey with us and illuminate our path as we open ourselves to this new direction. And we say thank you. And I turn to the south, the direction of love and laughter and dance and rhythm and creativity and ceremony. And I call Bridget to rise up and guide us in this ceremony, to show us the way of the light of the moon, the light of the dark moon. And we thank you, ancestors of the South, for guiding us, for helping us journey with ceremony in love and laughter and joy. Thank you. And I turn to the West, inviting in the dark goddesses, Sekhmet and the Morrigan, who take us through the night. And in the night, the Egyptian bark or boat sits Khonsul, the god of the sun, and Tot and Ma'at, who sit in the boat to travel through the night sky, going into the underworld to those who have passed on to another life and coming upward. And as we move in that direction, Nut is in the west, receiving the sun. She absorbs the sun into her body at sunset and holds it there in gestation, arching her body across the sky, across the stars, becoming the Milky Way as Khonsul and Tot and Ma'at float in the boat across the skies. And we turn to the north, where Ma'at guides us to stand up as warriors of the heart, to remember who we are as we take this journey around the medicine wheel, to remember and accept the challenge of growth, to stand up and be one with the divine light. And we say thank you. Then we come full circle all the way around with the rising sun, the setting sun, and the moon. And I come back to the center and raise my arms toward the heavens, toward the sky, toward the moon. The moon, which literally is right above us in North America right now, creeping up in the minutes before the moon goes completely dark. And we say thank you to the moon and to the Milky Way and to the stars and all of our planets. And I lean toward the earth and say thank you to Mother Earth. Thank you for holding us. Thank you for being the life force as we function here on planet Earth. And I say thank you to all of our guides. And I say, Aho, Ashi, Amen, blessed be, Hamdulillah, and so it is. Welcome everyone, welcome. Thank you so much for being here today, being a part of what we're doing as we go through this journey. Today's new moon is about energy alignment, about aligning your thoughts and your emotions and your actions with what you want to create in your life. And I want to share my screen with you for just a few minutes. I have just a few short slides, but I think they're quite meaningful with what we're talking about. Of course, this is the opening slide that some of you saw as you came in, and it's what the moon looks like as it goes through its cycle. But today we're celebrating the new moon, the lunar alignment, and actually across many cultures, the lunar calendars determine various ceremonies and celebrations. The Chinese New Year is tomorrow. It's the year of the element of water and the year of the rabbit. And in the Chinese culture, the rabbit represents the moon. Now, some people say it's because the shadows of the moon represent a rabbit. Others say it's because of the rabbit's characteristics. whatever the reason, it is the year of the rabbit, and the rabbit represents the moon. So I thought that was very significant that we bring that in. And along with other lunar calendar things, in the Islamic tradition, Ramadan is the date of Ramadan is determined by a lunar calendar. Passover, Lent, we have all sorts of things in Western and Eastern cultures that are connected to lunar calendars. So the moon is very significant in our lives as human beings. So this dark moon is in Aquarius, and we are looking at specifically today energy alignment. And why focus on energy alignment? Well, when you're in alignment, you're in a flow, you're in a state of flow and harmony. And it's easier to release what does not help you to manifest what you need in your life when you're in this state of alignment. So aligning your thoughts, your emotions, your actions to create what you want in your life. So we are in a very interesting time. We start with this new lunar cycle with a super new moon in Aquarius. Supermoons are because of the distance that the moon is from the earth and sun. And actually, the moon today is the closest that it has been to Earth. Are you ready for this? In 993 years.
Wow.
Wow. And it's sextile, or that means 60 degrees, to Jupiter, who is closest to the sun for the first time in his 12-year cycle around the sun. So this is a rare and powerful lunation. I mean, it's wow. It's a very significant time. All of the planets in our solar system right now are direct. That means you probably hear people talk about Mercury going retrograde. Well, we've had several planets in retrograde. They have all settled direct, which means for us, it's time for us to move forward. It's time for us to stop sitting and stop sitting in this inertia. It's time to go direct. It's time to straighten up, to move forward, to set our sights on what we really need to move ourselves toward what we need to do. And Jupiter is very, significant that Jupiter is the closest to the sun in Jupiter's 12-year cycle around, because though it takes us 365 days, it takes Jupiter 12 years to go around the sun. So Jupiter will pour his magic on our seeds of intention on this new moon. So the moon in Aquarius, which is the sign of the water bearer, and this energy of the planet of abundance, Jupiter, will take us toward cleansing and renewal. Jupiter and all of this alignment will lead us toward that full moon on February 5th. So join me for that ceremony if you can. But Aquarius is the water bearer. And this is a Greek, part of the Greek mythology with the man. There's a whole story to that. But carrying the bag of water, and then these swivels are a symbol for water. I really like this one with the jug of water pouring over. And what the symbology relates to us, how it relates to us, is that we are now the water bearer. We carry our own water. We carry our own hopes and dreams and ideals. The water bearer brings us to mind of the flow. So if we're carrying the water, we're going with the flow instead of against the flow. Aquarius means seeing possibilities and experimenting and doing things differently. Some of you have heard me or heard other people talk about the precession of the equinoxes. And that's a 26,000 year cycle. And each of the cycles, the zodiac's symbols around, are a little over 2,000 years. And we are shifting into the age of Aquarius for the next 2,000 years. Now, we've got a 200 or a 300 year cycle of this, what we call the cusp of moving into it. So we're in a bit of chaos right now as we move toward this change into Aquarius. But right now we are in, the moon is settling into Aquarius for the day. And that, that transit into the age of Aquarius begins to shift and change us. So the water bearer pours out its memory on the moon and on the earth and calls us to remember who we are, calls us to claim our true power. The new moon in Aquarius is pushing us to act in regard to or in harmony with our higher vision. And it's asking us to set up a support system to help us do that. So today in ceremony, we're going to focus on releasing, getting in alignment, and creating, focusing what we really want in our lives. There are huge opportunities waiting for us just around the corner, just because of the alignment of the planets in our solar system right now. So we just need to pay attention and actively pursue these things. The constellation movement, the planet movement does not cause us to do things, but it gives us a vibration that we can harmonize with, or we can not harmonize with it. If we choose to pay attention to the changing of the planets and the moon, we can put ourselves in better alignment so that we flow more easily, like Consul and Tot and Ma'at in the boat floating across the heavens. Or we can put ourselves in some rough waters and we can fight against it and go the opposite direction of the vibration that's out there. So what I'm encouraging you to do is pay attention to the vibrations of where we are and the planetary movement so that we can more easily accomplish the things that we want to do. So let me close the slide there and see if I can take us back to, there we go, back to the view screen. You can change this on your own screen to speaker or not speaker, but for the recording, I have taken us back to the picture here with everyone on it. And before I go on and move into the ceremony aspect, I want to stop and see if anyone has any questions or any comments about anything I've said, or just something that you'd like to add to the discussion. Just unmute yourself if you'd like to say something.
I had a question. You said are we on the cusp of the age of Aquarius, or have we entered into it? We're just at the beginning of entering into it.
You know, there's no absolute, no one can put a specific date on that transition, because but just like, you know, our birthdays fall on this date or that date, and we say that we're on the cusp. Well, in this case, we're talking about a 26,000 year cycle, not a 12-month cycle. And so in our birth cycles, the cusp is a few hours. We're into a few years, like 200 or 300 years in that transition into Aquarius. Some say that it will happen in I forget what the predictions are, 2040. Some say it won't happen until we move into the next century. Some say it's happened already. Um, but the reality is that our world is in a state of chaos, and chaos is what happens in that transition. So we are very, very close, but probably none of us on the screen today will be here when we truly have moved all the way into Aquarius, at least not in these bodies. We might come back in another form, but doubtful that any of us will be around, because it probably won't happen
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Good.
for at least another 100 years. So yeah, good question. Good question. Any other questions, comments? Okay. Well, if you were not here right at the very beginning, I just was reminding folks, if you haven't already, gathered the smudging material if you'd like to do that, but also a feather or something that you can sweep through the air, even if it's just your hand. But we want to do some sweeping in just a few minutes. And then a candle or some sort of incense or something that can represent fire. And if you don't want fire or don't have fire, um, think of something, at least think about fire in your mind, because we're going to do some imagery with fire in just a few minutes. And it would be good if you have something that represents the earth. I mean, my walls are wood, so in reality, I could touch my walls and say, "Oh, I'm connecting to the trees that are a part of the earth." But you could do that with a house plant. You could do it with rocks or crystals. I have a this beautiful. I don't know if you can. Yeah, I think you can see it against this. These are crystals, and this is in the shape of a tree. Um, and a friend of mine brought this back from one of her trips. And so I've brought this today because it's crystals and the shape of a tree for my icon to represent the earth. So just gathering whatever kinds of things that you might think about as we go through it. And it's not necessary that you have the physical object. It's just that sometimes it's a little easier as you as you have some object like that. So what I'd like you to do first, and let me put myself back on the spotlight since I'm recording, and you can leave your screens on or turn them off at this point if you choose to, because we're going to go into just a very short meditation, and then we're going to go into some imagery and some other aspects of the ceremony today. So, so I'd like you to think about, close your eyes if you'd like, and think about something that you need to release, something that you intuitively know is blocking you from your full manifestation of your dreams or blocking your spiritual growth. You know, it could be anger, that any time that you come into a situation where you have conflict, instead of dealing with the conflict and finding a way to easily move through it, you instantly go into anger, and you know that is preventing you from rationally working through whatever the issue is. So that could be one thing. I mean, it could be not speaking up for yourself in times when you know that you should. So whatever those things are, I'm going to chant here for a couple of minutes, and I'd like you to really look inside yourself and really think about at least one thing that you need to work on releasing to help you in your next step of growth toward the connection with the divine. So I'll just chant for just about a minute and then we'll come back together. Oh, 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 And now if you will bring your hands together, letting one hand rest inside the other. And then take those hands just below your breast, just above your solar plexus. Just softly, I don't think you can see me, let me stand. Just softly let your hands rest like this. And in your hands, I'd like you to place that thing, that object, that thought, that emotion that you're ready to release. And now just let it slide into one hand so that you have your other hand free. And I'd like you to take your, in your mind, sit here, well, let me see, before you release that hand, hold those hands together. And I'd like you in your mind to think about your candle or your smudging or your incense. And once again, close your eyes and think about the crackling of a fire. Look into the flame. Watch it burn. Watch it burn. And lift your hands and take that emotion that's blocking you and drop it into the fire in your imagination. Watch it burn. Watch it release itself from you. Watch it crackle in the fire and watch it turn to ashes. And now with that one hand there just below your breast, take your other hand and hold your feather, or if you don't have a feather, just using your hand, because we're going to take the ashes that are left in your other hand and blow them away. So with your feather, or with your hand, or with your breath, blow those ashes. Let it go. 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 Now, we don't want to leave a gap when you've let something go. We want to refill it. And so what I'd like you to do is think about very small steps to recreate your vision, your dream, your direction. And the first step is to pick up your dish of water. And dip your fingers into that water. And think about what you've burned away. And think about the ashes. And let those ashes disintegrate into the water. So dip your fingers in, holding that water on your fingers, disintegrating the ashes of what you've released. And again, blow it away from you. And now, think about something that you want to put in place of that energy that you've released. If you were releasing anger, perhaps you want to replace it with a bit of compassion. So whatever something new is that you want to bring more strongly into your life, put that on your fingertips right now. Got it settled into your hand? That new vibration, that new energy. Maybe you released inertia and you've put in place energy and activation. So with that on your fingers, I want you to dip your fingers into your water. And this time, bring those fingers up above your head and drop some water on your hair. You may want to put your fingers back in several times because you are anointing yourself. You're anointing yourself with your first steps toward this new direction, this new vision, this new dream, this new direction that you want to go. Sprinkle it, sprinkle it, sprinkle it, sprinkle it. And then you can dip just one finger if you'd like and touch the middle of your forehead, your third eye. You've sprinkled your crown, the top of your head. Now anoint your third eye and move it in a circle. And in that circle, tell yourself, I can manifest this new plan, this new direction, this new thing that I want to bring into my life. I see it. I see it. I know it can happen. I know that it's real. And then dip your finger again and bring it to your throat. Your throat center, your center of communication, your center of your voice. And so say out loud to yourself, I can do this. I can speak my truth. I can be what I see myself being. This new vision of me. And then you may, depending on what clothes you have on, you may want to do this symbolically rather than the water, but again, dip that finger in and take your finger to your heart. And even if it's just to do a circular motion outside your skin or your clothes, take it to the heart and again, move it in a circular direction saying, I fill my heart with this new energy, with this new direction, with this new vision, this new goal. And then let the palm of your hand rest against your heart. Let it sit there for just a moment, letting that new direction take one more step into concretizing the manifestation. Mm. And then again, dipping into the water, taking your fingers to your solar plexus. And again, just move your fingers around in front of your solar plexus, saying, I calm the emotions. I calm my emotions. I take one small step toward the manifestation of my dream, of my new direction. One step. I'm not jumping off a cliff. I'm taking one step. And the next, ooh, hold the water in front of you and say thank you, thank you, thank you to the water element. And set that aside, and then gather whatever you've chosen to represent the earth. And to this object of the earth, ask the earth to guide you as you move another step forward. And holding your object in your hand or both hands, drop down your body toward that gonad center that's below your belly button. This is your center of creativity. This is a center of action, a center of manifestation. In the physical female body, it's the place that we give birth, but it's also the place of our creative center. So we hold our object next to that gonad center and say, I can manifest this next step on my journey. I see the way. I feel the way. I know the way. I embrace the way. And thank you. And the last chakra is where you're sitting. It's your tailbone. And that tailbone connects to your feet, to the earth. So take your object, and I will only lean over slightly so you can still see me, but take your object and put it near your feet, or put it on the floor between your feet if that's workable, or just leaning over and holding it. So I'm putting mine down on the floor between my feet. Take a deep breath in and say, Mother Earth, thank you. Thank you for providing the strength beneath my feet to take the next step forward for my next step on the journey of my growth and development, of my connection to the divine, of harmonizing with the oneness, of being a part of all that is. And then pick up your object, holding it in your hands again in front of you. kind of at your heart level. Because at the heart, we speak our generosity and our gratitude. And so to your object of the earth, say thank you. Thank you for being of the earth. Thank you for helping me find the foundation beneath me to manifest my vision, my dream, my hope. And then you can put your object, or continue to hold it or put it down, whichever you prefer to do. And then open your hands above you. Even if you have your object in one hand, that's perfectly fine. But open your hands, letting that energy from above flow into you, because what you've done is form the shape of a chalice. So let that energy flow into your chalice cup. Let it flow all the way in and fill up the cup with divine light, with the initiative to take one step at a time, with the joy to look toward the new adventure, the new growth, the new steps. And let that chalice fill so full that it overflows and runs down the outer edges of the chalice, your arms. Your cup continues to fill even though it's spilling over your hands. So lean over, either to your right or to your left, but lean over and pour that chalice onto the earth. Pour it out and let it flow across the earth itself. And come back to center and let your chalice refill itself again. And lean the other direction. This time, pouring your chalice out into the waters of the earth. And coming back to center, saying thank you, thank you, thank you, bringing your hands together at your heart. Just tilting your head in honor and gratitude of the divine light that you've brought into yourself and that you've shared with the planet. You've shared with all of humanity. You've shared with the earth herself and the waters of the earth. And say thank you, thank you, thank you. I have a closing quote for you, but I'm not quite ready to do that yet. I'd like to open up again. And I want to tell you today I'm wearing, this is a scarf that a dear friend of mine, and actually my friend's mother gave this to me, and I thought this is so representative of the moon when she's full and the sun and the light. And so I've put this scarf on and my black scarf over it, and I'm wearing black to represent the dark of the moon. It's the dark of the moon, but just like when the sun sets, we don't see the sun, but it's still there. It's the dark of the moon, but the shimmer is still there behind it. So I hope that you're able to see the to look at the dark moon and find the beautiful energy of the dark moon, but at the same time, know that beautiful glimmer is there behind it. So are there any comments or any questions anyone wants to bring up? Anything about the ceremony that you'd like to share? Lisa? Yeah.
Is the ceremony used just for the new moon, or can it be used for other reasons?
Oh, I think you could use it for other reasons as well. It's what came to me for this new moon, because it's such a dynamic moon, and there's such tremendous energy there opening for us. And so when that kind of energy opens for you, whether it's a moon phase or a sun phase or an eclipse, or an eclipse of your life, yeah, it can be used for any of those kinds of things.
It was so beautiful. It was just such a beautiful ceremony.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good. Yeah, and I'm recording this, so, and I'll post it on my YouTube channel, and I'll send out an email with the link to that so that you can go back and look at it again, because I would not be able to sit here and tell you all the steps that we did. I had a rough idea, but it morphs as I open my mouth.
Thank you.
Yeah, Ellen, yes.
Peggy, could you mentioned the dark moon?
Mhm.
I didn't know what that meant.
Oh, a new moon is the dark moon. That
Okay,
the moon is up there, it's in the sky, but we can't see it
okay.
because of the position that it's in. And so we call that the dark moon.
Okay, thank you.
And we refer to the dark goddesses not as bad goddesses, but goddesses of the darkness, goddesses of the inner being, of the intuition. And I mean, the word of the West actually is introspection. So we go into the darkness, closing our eyes in meditation, for example. We go into the darkness for introspection, for listening, for learning. Yeah. Ellen, you were about to say something.
Thank you. The more I do this, the deeper the ceremonies are becoming. And I don't connect with Zoom at all. There are very, very few things that I'll do on Zoom. But I feel the teachings deepening, Peggy, and your voice, and even, the chanting that you do. It's I remember, and I'm back in there, and the simple language you do. I'm just so grateful for you. I just moved after 10 years of being in a very disruptive building, and it was one of the miracles of Ephesus. But an opening happened in the building next to it. So now I'm facing the wood, the path, the sea is just beyond the trees. It's a total new view, new life. I don't know how I stood it for 10 years. So this opportunity, and then, I love to use imagination in my visualizations when you take it, but this is the first time this ever happened. I grew very, very big, and I had this great big broom, and I swept everything around my place, like I prepare for my sacred circle. And I just swept this beautiful, beautiful circle around my new building. And when I let go of everything that happened over there, but I've never experienced that I just grew to be this, it was me, and sweeping it. It was just amazing. And then to just fill, it's so, I can't thank you enough for all you bring to my life and many lives, and the teachings, your knowledge, and what you choose to say and how you weave it, and still keeping it very, very simple. And, you can take it in. It's not too much. So I just am so grateful to be a part of your circle.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Anyone else? Any other comments? I can't see everyone. Let me flip over. So if I'm not acknowledging you, go ahead and unmute yourself. I'm not seeing anyone there. Okay. Anybody else? Last chance. Well, for our closing, I have a quote from the astrologer Bill Attride. And he does an astrology podcast, and I get his mailings. And something came through just this, I don't know, in the last few days. And I thought it was such a beautiful, the way that he put it was so beautiful and so pertinent to what we're doing today. So I want this to be our closing statements, our closing thoughts for today.
What is his name again? What is is he have a website?
Bill Attride, Attride. And I'm
Okay,
not sure the name of his website, but I'm sure you can Google
thank
him.
you. Yeah, thank
Find
you.
him. He does a podcast, but he also has a mailing list that I get. So here's his quote. Let me move this over so I can read it to you. We are here to strive and to grow through trial and error, to learn from our mistakes and by our successes too, so that over the span of many years and through many, many lives, that we will become better humans, and that each one of us and together as a host of divine sparks, we may shine ever brighter like creation itself, as beings full of light and love. Yeah. So I wish for you to go forth as the beings of light and love that you are, and let that manifest into the world around you. Yeah. So thank you everyone. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Peggy.